Hello and welcome. Tonight, Nigeria Governors Forum throws its weight behind the federal government's tax reform bills, proposes a new VAT sharing formula. Tempers rise as lawmakers fault documents presented by the Inspector General of Police at the 2025 Budget Defense Session. Police barricade Rivers PDP Secretariat as leadership crisis deepens. And Israel's cabinet to vote on a Gaza ceasefire and hostage deal tomorrow.
And on business, federal government targets 1.8 trillion naira borrowing from bond markets in the first quarter of 2025.
On sports news tonight, they say will ensure equitable distribution of resources. Arising from a meeting with the Presidential Tax Reforms Committee in Abuja, the governors endorsed a sharing formula for value-added tax. Now, regarding the terminal clause for TET Fund, NASENI, and NITDA, the governors recommend that such clause be deleted from the current tax reform bill that's before the National Assembly.
The forum reiterated its strong support for the comprehensive reform of Nigeria's decade tax laws. Governors acknowledge the importance of modernizing the tax system to enhance fiscal stability and align with global best practices.
Two, the forum includes a value-added tax sharing formula to ensure equitable distribution of resources. As follows: 50% based on equality, 30% based on graduation, and 20% based on population.
To the National Assembly, where a heated exchange erupted during the 2025 Budget Defense Session as the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Egbetukun, presented the Nigeria Police budget. Tensions rose when two lawmakers raised concerns that the IGP's presentation did not align with the documents they had received. Attempts by the chairman of the committee to allow Mr. Egbetukun to continue while the issue was resolved met strong resistance, leading to a heated shouting session. The dispute escalated, prompting a senator to even stage a walkout. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, now reports.
Honorable Chairman of the Senate.
As the 2025 Budget Defense Sessions continue in the National Assembly, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Egbetukun, takes the stage. Initially, there is rapt tension in the room as the IGP begins his presentation on the forced budget implementation.
Observation, point of order, Mr. Chairman.
However, the session took a dramatic turn when a lawmaker raised an observation.
What the IGP is reading is quite different from the document we have in. No, sir, we are all here for budget. It's very, very important that whatever they are presenting, all members will be acquainted with it.
Just as the chairman of the Joint Committee attempted to intervene, his point was quickly corroborated by another lawmaker.
We are not against the presentation of the IGP, but I, as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, should have what the IGP is reading. Yes.
An unexpected confrontation led to a heated exchange.
What the IGP is reading is different from what I have. So, and I'm going to ask questions. Let me finish. Then I will leave.
Loud shouts of "go" accompany his decision to walk out of the session.
What we are displaying is what Nigerian does not even want. If you have problem, Senator or House of Reps that have a personal problem with the Nigerian police should not be addressed in this platform.
Order was eventually restored and the IGP resumed his presentation.
The police is being grossly underfunded. We are limited by this envelope budget system has limited us.
I am worried because what you have in your entire budget, wallahi, is not enough to implement what you need to police Nigeria. The Inspector General of Police should have a direct
addressed to the president. And some of these issues must be laid before the president and commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces.
Clearly displeased, the lawmakers threw their weight behind the idea of reviewing the budgeting process for the police.
Your Excellency.
Separately, the Senate Committee on Appropriations commenced a one-day public hearing on the 2025 appropriation bill, inviting top government officials and key stakeholders.
I want to encourage the executive to fully implement the report of the Steve Orosei Panel Presidential Committee on Restructuring and Rationalization of the Federal Government Parastatals Commission and Agency.
The President of the Senate and the Executive promised to deliver a realistic budget where every naira appropriated is well invested.
This budget of restoring this nation, is a beacon of hope, a strategic instrument to secure peace, ignite prosperity, and lay the cornerstone of a stronger and more resilient economy for Nigeria.
The 2025 budget is intended, among others, to continue to restore macroeconomic stability. We are confident that the economy is facing the right direction.
The lawmakers are hoping to wrap up the 2025 budget defense sessions by the end of January. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The African Continental Free Trade Area has estimated a combined revenue generation of $16.3 trillion by the year 2050 from the continent. The Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Mr. Wamkele Mene, made this known in Abuja at a roundtable meeting organized by the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. He adds that the AfCFTA is working hard to eliminate hindrances to intra-African trade and investments. Our correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, reports.
The Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment is interfacing with the private sector under the African Continental Free Trade Area to explore actionable pathways for further harnessing trade opportunities in Africa. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Odowole, which has the Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, Mr. Bosun Tijani, in attendance, as well as the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Mr. Wamkele Mene. The meeting focuses on building capacity for trade facilitation and Nigeria's plan for the implementation of the agreement's protocols.
So Nigeria's active involvement in aligning regulatory frameworks and ease of doing business with AfCFTA protocols on trade in goods, on investment, on the digital trade agenda, on intellectual property rights, on competition policy is what we will continue to work on, and the work that has already started.
The Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area outlines the framework and opportunities under the protocols on digital trade, highlighting the revenue potentials from the agreement by 2050.
By 2050, 27 years from now, the continent of Africa will have a combined GDP of 16.3 trillion United States dollars. We will not be able to take advantage of this combined 16.3 trillion United States dollars from an industrial, productive, job creation point of view if we continue to be fragmented as a continent.
The federal government is estimating that about 70% of Nigerians will be digitally literate by.
Sincerely apologize for the freeze and pictures on that report. Moving on now, talking energy, and the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Mr. Heineken Lokwobiri, says it is critical for stakeholders in the petroleum industry to come together regularly to discuss challenges in the sector to ensure that well-informed steps are taken to address the problems bedeviling it. Now, speaking after the inaugural meeting of the Petroleum Industry Stakeholders Forum in Abuja, Mr. Lokwobiri revealed that several issues regarding industry regulations, petroleum products pricing, and energy security for the economic growth of the country were discussed. The minister also promised to ensure that the engagement holds on a regular basis.
Life itself is full of challenges. I'm sure even in your own house you have challenges. Every morning you wake up with one challenge or the other. So this sector also has its own peculiar challenges. But what we want to do is to see how we can bring everybody together. Part of the challenges we have, when we came on board was to see how we can ramp up production. We're already doing that. We're not where we want to be, but we're already getting there. The other challenge was, availability of products. Where you see queues, when there are queues, prices are likely going to go up. People, take jerry cans and sell. Those are issues that we have been able to address. We're also, trying to address the issue of, policy conflicts, where you see one agency making a policy that will be in conflict with another agency. We're also trying to address whatever concerns. People are talking about different issues where you have, part of OPT's concern is that they said Nigeria has, so many taxes and levies, over 271, highest in the world. And these are issues that we want to sit down on the table to address. So there will always be challenges. Life itself is a challenge.
Nigeria's war against insurgency, particularly in the northeast of the country, has been long and hard fought for well over a decade. In spite of gains recorded over the past few years, it appears the end is not yet in sight. While the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, is attributing the resurgence of attacks in Borno State to the influx of foreign agents who are reinforcing the terrorists terrorizing the northeast region. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, General Buba says the situation is made worse by local collaborators disclosing troops' movement. General Buba, however, disclosed that in the last 1 week, troops have neutralized 165 terrorists, arrested 464, while 181 kidnapped victims have been rescued.
We've also recorded attacks in Chibok and Goza, local government area of Borno State, as well as attacks in Gudu, Ilela, Isa, and some locations in the northwest. I would say that the resurgence of these attacks by these terrorists are attributable to influx of foreign fighters that come in as reinforcement for these terrorists. These foreign fighters are from the Sahelian region, and this situation is made worse by local collaborators that form a support base for these terrorists. They serve as informants reporting on troops' movement to the terrorists. However, in spite of this situation, troops are profoundly conscious of their role and responsibility in ending insurgency and terrorism across our nation.
Part 2 after the break. Police barricade Rivers PDP Secretariat as leadership crisis deepens. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Nigeria Governors Forum throws its weight behind the federal government's tax reform bills, proposes a new VAT sharing formula. Tempers rise as lawmakers fault documents presented by the Inspector General of Police at the 2025 Budget Defense Session. Police barricade Rivers PDP Secretariat as leadership crisis deepens. And Israel's cabinet to vote on a Gaza ceasefire and hostages deal tomorrow. Let's back to the National Assembly and still on the budget defense sessions of the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security. Mr. Abubakar Kyari says the 2025 budget proposal for his ministry falls short of the Maputo 2003 and Malabo 2014 declarations. According to him, agriculture is becoming a major business in Nigeria and requires greater attention. Our correspondent Terry Kumi has details of this and more budget defense sessions from the federal legislature.
With a little over a week left for budget defense, committees of the Senate and House of Representatives are combining speed and thoroughness in the budget defense process. A joint committee on agriculture of both chambers meets with the Minister of Agriculture. The Minister of Agriculture, after presenting his 2025 budget, appeals for an increase.
The agriculture budget is far short of the Maputo 2003 and the Malabo 2014 declarations of the 10% of the national budget. Despite the fact that agriculture development in Nigeria is fast transiting to a business-oriented approach driven by massive engagement of youth and women in agribusiness.
If we are to cater for the coming population, we really have to do a lot. And this is further compounded by the fact that this year we have terrible flood.
The allocation to the agricultural sector had rather significantly reduced to about 2% of the national budget. This dwindling allocation raises significant concern, particularly in the light of projection in the 2025 budget indicating a worsening food crisis.
Meanwhile, the House Committee on Environment queries the extra budgetary spending by the Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria.
Amount in appropriation is 3.3 billion. Amount released is 3.7. Is it that you release you spent money that was not appropriated for? Is that what it means?
What happened? The money given to us could not pay the salary. Now that is the reason why there is outstanding of -3. When you add this to 3.3, it will give you 3.7.
I've given you what to spend. We have faced a situation where you spent more than the provision that was given to you by Parliament. Now, if there is need for you to spend more money, it is a way of what we call a supplementary budget. So, for you to have spent money that was not appropriated for is an aberration. It's not something that is encouraged here.
The countdown to the passage of the 2025 budget continues, and with repetitions in previous budgets noticeably recurring in the 2025 budget proposal as observed in some of the MDAs so far, it is expected that the National Assembly would pay close attention to help the nation curtail waste. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
President Bola Tinubu has met with the President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, on the sidelines of the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week 2025. According to the statement by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, during the bilateral talks, the two leaders explored ways of attracting investment into Nigeria. President Tinubu said his government's economic reforms are yielding fruits and called on the UAE to partner with Nigeria to develop the economy. During the discussions, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan thanked the Nigerian leader for accepting his invitation to attend the Sustainability Week and expressed the UAE's determination to strengthen economic cooperation between Nigeria and his country. He also accepted President Bola Tinubu's invitation to visit Nigeria this year. Talking politics in Rivers State, there was tension in Port Harcourt, the state capital, as police barricaded part of the road leading to the People's Democratic Party Secretariat along Abba Road. The development came amid reports that the newly constituted acting executive committee of the party, formed after a court nullified the elected executive, planned to take over the Secretariat complex. Although the planned takeover by the acting executive committee was suspended, both sides held separate briefings to assert their authority over the party, signaling that the crisis is far from being resolved.
The road leading to the Rivers PDP Secretariat along Abba Road in Port Harcourt is barricaded by the police, and there is heavy security present. There's also a crowd of party supporters both within and outside the facility. It's a press briefing by the Aaron Chukwuemeka-led executives of the party that was recently restrained from functioning by a high court in the state. The embattled chairman laments the multiplicity of court processes, even as he appeals to Governor Siminalayi Fubara to allow peace reign in the party.
Every day, River State, one matter or the other. And people will not listen and look at the merit of issues. All we hear, kangaroo judgment, kangaroo orders, every day coming up and down. I want to say that we need peace in River State. Let the governor, he is the governor. No person, it's not a contention. We campaigned for him, we voted for him. We need peace. Let him allow us to be. Now he has started galvanizing people to run a parallel PDP. We cannot accept it.
On his part, the state's legal advisor, however, says the party is yet to receive a copy of the court ruling, but adds that they have applied for a record of proceedings, and though they are yet to receive it, will appeal it when it eventually comes out.
Up to now, as I'm speaking, addressing lawful citizens in River State who are members of PDP, we have not received the judgment. We have not seen the judgment in this matter to enable us advise ourselves on the proper steps to take, which is to appeal against the judgment.
They say those who have constituted themselves as an acting executive have no power to do so, as they are members of the APP, not PDP. At a separate venue, members of the acting executive of the People's Democratic Party at both the state and local government levels gather to also address the press.
We have resolved to allow good reasoning prevail and call off the plan to take over the party secretariat today. We are also appealing to our teaming supporters and party faithfuls across the state to remain calm as we are taking necessary steps to take possession of our party secretariat.
The acting executive also outlines conditions for the continued existence of the PDP in Rivers State, including the reinstatement of the party's leadership in the state under Governor Siminalayi Fubara and formal recognition of the acting executive at the state level.
We shall make PDP River State chapter great again. To achieve the above, we shall consult with all critical stakeholders of the party, unite members and work with them to restore the already lost hope. We shall embark on sensitization tour across the 23 LGA, embark on membership drive to boost the population of the party for future elections. We shall also, in the next few days, set up a disciplinary committee to deal with issues of anti-party activities.
Despite a temporary suspension of plans to take over the secretariat, the escalating tension and unresolved grievances signal that the party's crises are far from over.
From Rivers politics, let's head and talk about Edo State politics. Well, the All Progressives Congress, the APC Edo State chapter, has reclaimed the property situated at number 59 Airport Road in Benin City, the Edo State capital, as its party secretariat 4 years after it was allegedly forcefully ejected from the premises by the People's Democratic Party. The chairman of the APC in Edo State, Jared Tenebe, in a speech shortly after the takeover of the party secretariat, explained the property rightfully belonged to the APC, as the party had renewed the rent for a period of 7 years before the PDP, allegedly with the help of the then Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, took it from them forcefully. The chairman of the People's Democratic Party in the state, Anthony Azigbemi, who was on the premises at the time of the building takeover, was later escorted out of the building by the Speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly, Blessing Agbebaku.
I am very, very happy. You see, the God that we serve will always protect his children, because we are godly people and we also don't make trouble. God will always protect his own. Don't forget, I've always said from time that we don't want problems. That when you bring trouble, there's no trouble. I'm happy that I'm in my office today. We have taken over at Airport Road. You saw when they took the chairman of PDP out of this place. And you also hear when the police came here, and you also saw reasons why we have to be here. And they came here to pay, that's courtesy visit that they have just paid. And we are happy about it. God is happy. All the APC faithful are happy. You can see my youth leader is very happy. All members of State Working Committee and ESCO are happy. All the leaders of the party in Edo State are happy. In fact, Edo State as a whole is happy. And, you know, when they took this office from us, they did not stop at that. They went to all the local governments and collected our offices from us. And we are going to recover all the offices across the state from them, because those offices belong to us.
Talking health matters now, the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, has emphasized President Bola Tinubu's commitment as the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government to leading regional efforts against Lassa fever and other infectious diseases. At the inaugural meeting of the Lassa coalition governing entity in Abuja, the minister emphasized the need for regional resilience and highlighted government's commitment to keeping Nigeria at the forefront of public health emergency responses while collaborating with the West African Health Organization, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, and other global partners. The Chief Executive Officer of the coalition, Mr. Richard Hatchett, commended the commitment and its contribution to ensuring health for all.
Our mission here is to ensure that we deliver, together with our global partners and CEPI and all others, an accessible, effective, safe vaccine through a robust regional and country-owned processes and leadership, while fostering the partnerships that will ensure that we mitigate the impact of this disease over time and build some of the residual capacities that can help us to deal with other pathogens. The coalition that we're meeting here today is an important example of how we can rethink global partnerships, regional partnerships, and even national partnerships for vaccine introduction, vaccine development that is owned by all across national, regional, and global actors.
Multiple partners coming together to support vaccine development, its introduction, its delivery, and its sustainment. And there is no way that an organization like CEPI, all we can do is provide support for the research and development. We can help to bring partners together, but it's ultimately when those partners take ownership of the solution that can be offered and carry it forward together, that solution actually becomes real. And the vaccines turn into vaccinations, and vaccinations mean lives are being saved.
Still ahead on the news at 10, federal government targets 1.8 trillion naira borrowing from bond market in the first quarter of 2025. That's on Business News. Please join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10. Let's now head to the nation's capital, and Gloria Umezoke is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Gloria.
Well, thank you, Ayo. Now, still talking health news, and the Rivers State government has confirmed 5 cases of cholera and 9 associated deaths in an outbreak that has affected 2 local government areas of the state. The local government areas are Akoko Toru and Andani local government areas. According to the Commissioner of Health, Dr. Adeze Ore, the confirmed cases were recorded in Akoko Toru, while the 9 associated fatalities were reported across both Akoko Toru and Andani local government areas. Dr. Ore stated that the ministry has activated emergency response teams in affected areas to contain the outbreak and prevent further spread. Additionally, heightened sensitization efforts have been initiated across the state to educate residents on preventive measures. The Commissioner emphasized the importance of maintaining hygiene and promptly reporting suspected cases to health authorities. She urged parents to cooperate with health teams as they work to mitigate the impact of the outbreak. And residents in the affected communities are advised to ensure proper sanitation, drink only safe water, and seek medical attention immediately if they experience symptoms such as diarrhea, vomiting, or dehydration. The government assures citizens that it remains committed to safeguarding public health and provide updates as the situation evolves.
we have recorded a total of 41 suspected cases from 2 local government areas in the state. And those local government areas are Andoni and Akukutoro. 5 were confirmed from Akukutoro and none yet from Andoni because of our inability to collect stool samples from the reported cases by the time our team was notified and on ground. We have also recorded 9 associated deaths, out of which 3 are from Andoni. It was majorly these deaths that were reported and brought to our attention that necessitated the swift response from our Directorate of Public Health and Disease Control. On the 11th of January 2025, the attention of River State Public Health Emergency Operations Center, the River State Ministry of Health, was drawn to a signal on 3 deaths within 48 hours in Isiodum community of Andoni local government area. The State Rapid Response Team, led by the Director of Public Health and Disease Control, investigated and commenced actions to contain that outbreak. The River State Ministry of Health, in collaboration with partners and the local government area authorities in Andoni, has activated emergency response measures, and these include strengthened surveillance, enhancing the case definition, detection, and reporting across health facilities and communities in Andoni. Rapid response teams, we have deployed trained personnel to affected communities across the state for case management and outbreak containment. Provision of supplies, the distribution of oral rehydration solution salts, intravenous fluids, and essential medicines to the health centers. Risk communication, actively carrying out community sensitization on cholera prevention and control measures. And 5th, the emergency provision of alternative means of drinking water. Of course, this is in very strong collaboration with the local government area authorities.
To other stories, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has filed a 13-count criminal charge against the chairman, Honeywell Group, Chief Oba Otudeko, and a former managing director of First Bank, Olabisi Onosoya, for allegedly obtaining the sum of 12.3 billion naira from First Bank. The duo are set to be arraigned on Monday, January the 20th, before Justice Chukwujeku Aneke of the Federal High Court, Lagos. It will be arraigned alongside a former member of the Board of Directors of Honeywell Flour Mills PLC, Mr. Soji Akintayo, and a company linked to Chief Otudeko, named Anchorage Leisure Limited. All 4 were listed as defendants in the suit filed by an EFCC prosecutor, Ilkisu Buhari Bala, today, January 16, 2025. According to the EFCC, the 4 committed the fraud in tranches of 5.2 billion naira, 6.2 billion naira, 6.15 billion naira, 1.5 billion naira, and 500 million naira between 2013 and 2014 in Lagos. The federal government has debunked reports that the Third Mainland Bridge is shaking, describing it as baseless. The federal government, the Federal Controller of Works in Lagos State, Mrs. Olukorede Kesha, says messages being circulated about the state of the bridge are false and should be disregarded. She said the bridge is safe and the integrity is not in doubt. A 4-month rehabilitation work carried out on the bridge in 2024 with a complete replacement of the asphalt of the bridge deck, the deck painting, and replacement of missing gadgets. Well, not less than 20 manhole covers have been recovered by the Combined Security Task Force of Anti-Vandal Operation at a scrap market in the Day area of Abuja. The task force, who raided the market in a shop-to-shop search, found some manhole covers in a shop. Addressing journalists at the FCT Command Headquarters, the FCT Police Commissioner, Mr. Olatunji Disu, says the police will continue to protect government infrastructure and appeal to the public to continue to inform the police about cases of vandalism. Mr. Disu maintains that all scrap markets within the FCT remain closed until further notice.
Got an update about the activities of anti-vandal operations that have been commenced by security operatives of the Federal Capital Territory, members of the Nigerian Police Force, the Nigerian Army, the Navy, Air Force, the Civil Defense, and the DSS. And I'm happy you went out with operatives of the task force today and you witnessed the success that have been recorded today. The men started the operations yesterday, and today we recorded the wonderful success of recovery of over 20 manhole covers in just one shop at Dede Panteka. We want to enjoy members of the public to continue to give us wonderful information, to continue to cooperate with us. The Pantekas remain closed. It remains closed. If we see anybody who go there to operate, they will be arrested and they will be prosecuted. And the members of the public should endeavor, whenever they see anything, they should continue to say that. Panteka remain closed. This is what has been happening for a number of times, and they complain that the government is not doing anything. And they are the ones going around removing all these installations, creating situations that can endanger lives of citizens of the Federal Capital Territory. So I beg them one more time, you see something, say something.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's over now to Will Ibong in Lagos for business news.
Thank you, Gloria. We begin with the news from the Debt Management Office, which says the federal government plans to raise up to 1.8 trillion naira from the bond market in the first quarter of 2025 to address fiscal deficits and fund infrastructure. The Debt Management Office, as the DMO, outlined a mix of reopened and new bonds for 3 auctions scheduled in January, February, and March. The bond offer includes the reopening of the 19.3% April 2029 and 18.5% February 2031 bonds, as well as the debut of the January 2035 bond, and the government aims to raise 450 billion naira to 600 billion naira per auction. The bond issuance appears crucial for funding the government's 13.08 trillion naira budget deficit and may attract significant interest. Now, reactions have been trailing the preliminary data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, which indicates that real estate has now surpassed oil and gas to become the country's 3rd largest sector. This follows the rebasing of the GDP and CPI. A player in the industry and Chief Executive Officer of Xylus Group, Dr. Oluwatosin Olatujoye, who is optimistic with the trend of developments in the sector, is asking for more intervention by the government.
In 2023, the contribution of real estate to the GDP is about 5.58, the entire 2023. And in 2024, because of the reduction in the purchasing power of the economy, we're all thinking that probably the real estate sector will be low. But meanwhile, last year also, based on the 3rd quarter report, we are still 5.43. In the GDP contribution. So what that means is that a lot of people are interested in buying real estate. But the challenges they are having is basically affordability and flexible payment plan and a long-term duration to pay. So if we can solve these 3 points, then the housing deficit that we have at the moment between 20 million to 28 million can be reduced. Market that really need housing, the market making up this housing deficit we are talking about is between middle and low. The high ones can afford to buy houses for themselves. And the middle and low, if you look at the income they earn from their salary on a monthly basis, can they easily afford to pay for a particular house they want to own for themselves? No, because the kind of house that are available in the market are not affordable. So as a real estate developer in the industry in Nigeria, we need to start looking towards building some houses in some strategic location, because you cannot build house in Ikoyi or in Lekki Phase 1 and expect the value of the house to low.
Now let's turn our attention to the domestic stock market, which made a rebound in today's trading session as investors take advantage of low prices in Dangote cement. Lad Williams tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the stock market report. Well, the Thursday trade managed to eke out a marginal gain today, about 9 basis points. All share index still sitting at 102,000 points and 62 trillion for the market cap. And we see it was quite hot today. That's trading activity with volume and value rising. Then the market mover again, so another one, Dangote Cement for this week. But now it's to the upside with a 3.12% gain on its share price. But that wasn't enough to counter the over 19% loss from this week. Question is, are the bottom buyers buying Dangote Cement? We'll find out at some point. Oil and gas there for the sectoral performance taking a hit, 2.49% down. But the banking accounts are looking good today with FBNH again gaining this week and about 0.17% today. Also, GTCO added to its share price. Well, tomorrow, that's the final trading day of this week. But by all indications, barring any dramatic gain for the all share index, tomorrow, the bears dominate.
And that's a wrap on business. It's back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Will. Sami Puzi is up next with Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Israeli airstrikes are continuing in Gaza ahead of the ceasefire agreement and hostage deal with Hamas, which comes into effect on Sunday, subject to the Israeli cabinet's approval. The strikes killed 73 people overnight following the announcement of the deal. Victims include 12 people who were living in a residential block in the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood of Gaza City. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was expected to ratify the Gaza ceasefire agreement in Parliament on Thursday, but his office alleges Hamas has reneged on parts of the agreement. President Joe Biden has warned of a dangerous concentration of power among a few wealthy people in the United States in his farewell address to the nation.
It's a very good afternoon.
Without naming President-elect Donald Trump, Mr. Biden said, "Today an oligarchy is taking shape in America." During his speech from the Oval Office in the White House, the president said there was a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a few ultra-wealthy people and warned of dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked.
Our system of separation of powers, checks and balances, it may not be perfect, but it's maintained our democracy for nearly 250 years, longer than any other nation in history that's ever tried such a bold experiment. I have no doubt that America is in a position to continue to succeed. That's why my farewell address tonight, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. The dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence.
There we go. No more illegal miners are believed to be trapped underground at a gold mine in South Africa. At least 78 bodies and more than 200 survivors have been pulled out since Monday after a court ordered the government to facilitate rescue operations at the mine. The standoff began in November when the government ordered police to arrest any miner who surfaced, saying it was determined to end illegal mining. Police said that more than 1,500 miners had come to the surface before the rescue operation began.
So once we've satisfied ourselves that the shaft is empty, then DMRE takes over together with the mine owner, and they do what is expected of them to do, which is to seal and rehabilitate the shaft so that we do not see a situation where we find ourselves where we are today, where we've had to stand static for a number of months at this particular shaft, calling on illegal miners to resurface.
The new year has started with a focus on the
Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch has criticised her predecessors for mishandling Brexit, saying leaving the EU without a growth plan was a mistake. In her first major speech of 2025, Ms. Badenoch pledged to tell hard truths, even when it's difficult to hear, to restore trust with the public.
We have just suffered our greatest ever defeat, ever, in hundreds of years. I don't think the public will start trusting us if I turn up looking like I'm having a great time.
The Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' space company has blasted its first rocket into orbit in a bid to challenge the dominance of Elon Musk's SpaceX. The New Glenn rocket launched from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida at 2 a.m. local time. It firmly pits the world's two richest men against each other in a commercial space race. In a post on X, Mr. Musk wrote, "Congratulations on reaching orbit on the first attempt." And a doorbell camera has captured the remarkable moment a meteorite struck the ground outside a home, scattering dust and producing audible impact sounds, something thought to be a historic first. In July 2024, Laura Kelly and her partner Joe discovered the rock outside their home in Canada, marking the province's first recorded meteorite fall. The meteorite left a small dent in the walkway, and the rock was confirmed to be ordinary crondite, the most common type of space rock to strike Earth.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The president of the Confederation of African Football, Patrice Motsepe, says the federation has no doubt the host nations for the African Nations Championship will organize the best tournament in the history of the competition. For the first time, the tournament, known as CHAN, solely for players playing in domestic leagues of participating teams, will be hosted by Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. However, delays in the completion of some facilities has resulted in a postponement of the competition to August this year. Super Eagles Team B will battle Senegal, Congo, and Sudan in Group D.
I always say we are all Kenyans, we are all Tanzanians, we are all Ugandans, we are all Africans. And we have a huge amount of confidence and faith in our ability to host a very successful CHAN in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, but also a huge amount of confidence in the competitions that are coming in future. And I'm confident that in August, we will have the most successful CHAN, Total Energies African Nations Championship in the history of this competition.
That sport is back to you, Ayo.
And the main news again. Nigeria Governors Forum has thrown its weight behind the federal government tax reform bills. Tempers rose as lawmakers faulted documents presented by the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, at the 2025 budget defense session. And police has barricaded the Rivers PDP Secretariat as the leadership crisis of the party deepened. And Israel's cabinet set to vote on a Gaza ceasefire and hostages deal tomorrow. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. You have a good night.